If you're thinking about picking up Battletech, or maybe you just did, check out this video. We're going to look at every single button coming up on Late to the Game. Welcome to another edition of Late to the Game. I'm Uplift Baton 6, and if you've been paying attention to my channel, you'll know how much I love Battletech. And so I thought that I would actually do a little introduction video for people that are going to be picking this up or playing with it via Game Pass or something like that. It is available on Game Pass. What we're going to do is we are going to walk through, I guess, in every button. I think would be the best way to describe it. Every button in the game. What does it do? How does it work? If you're an absolute beginner and you're fumbling around through it, what do you do in order to make this thing behave the way you want to behave? And that is, of course, to win. So hopefully this will be helpful to you. Alright, let's get down to it. We're going to start with our Season Pass, which actually is misleading. They don't support it anymore, so you can't really get a Season Pass. But you can still get these DLCs. I've got them all three downloaded and installed, so if you just have the base game, no DLCs, you won't see these, and some of the weapons and stuff that you might see incidentally, you won't have access to. When we go and take a look at the map, you won't see flashpoints on yours. If I play through urban encounters, the cities will not look like cities. There will be some weapons and mechs that I will have access to that you won't. But I picked these up super cheap. I think I got all three of them for 15 bucks or something like that. And then there's another one that you can get that's really just wallpapers and other versions of the same mech that you get anyway. And so, I don't know. I thought it was kind of pointless, so I didn't end up getting it, even though I absolutely love Battletech. Alright, so that's top to bottom over there. Seasons passes are not really doing them anymore, but you can get all of these DLCs still. This is your login and your sign in. If you're signed in, which I am not, you can play online, you can sign in, create your account, and you're good to go. You can manage your account here. I'm not going to get into that because I don't play online. When you do, if you do, you can click on that and figure it out on your own. Let's start right to left down here. Why right to left? Because we're going to dig a little bit more into these as we move across. First of all, Skirmish. A skirmish is essentially a really quick setup, one map, you play the battle, you're done. You can play online with your friends, that's what multiplayer is. You can do single player against the AI, and this load will only appear if you've actually saved a skirmish, or if you've started one. That's the only time that it will appear. And then Mech Bay. Mech Bay is where you're allowed to kind of customize a mech or a lance if you want to build your own lance, and then use it in a skirmish, whether multiplayer or single player. So let's click on that. So here you go. This is your Mech Bay, if you will, to build a skirmish. This is highlighted, pre-made by default. You can turn it off, and then you'll only see anything custom that you made. You see here I have several custom-made lances. When you make one and you save that lance, it will show up as your custom lance. Otherwise, you can take a look at all the pre-made ones. All of them, that means you see every single one, every single potential battle mech lance that's been built, light assault, and then it shows up over here. It shows you how much you're spending on that lance and the different versions of it. You can modify these if you like. You can copy it over into a new one and edit it. That's what this copy button is for. If it's one of yours, you can delete it. If it's not one of yours, you cannot delete it. You have different varieties, simply moving across the screen. Clash, slightly tinier mechs. And by slightly tinier, I mean very tiny. But you get to have a lot of fun moving around the battlefield. Here they are, 14.58 million. When you build a skirmish, you will cap the amount of money that you and your friends or the AI are allowed to spend. 14.58 million. They might let you go up to 14.6. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, but that's how they do that. Then you have your battle, different types. You'll see here I've built a custom mech, and then all of a sudden all of these options become available to you. You can delete that lance, you can copy it into a new one, or you can edit it. If you edit it, it will take you into your options to build out that lance. As you edit it, you can take bigger or smaller mechs. That will change what you end up with back over here. So if you end up putting in a whole bunch of bigger mechs, it will move you up into whatever scale, or down if you make smaller ones, down by scale or up by scale in order to reflect the changes that you make there. So let's hop into this. We're going to edit it. You see there it's 19.85 million. And this is the lance we created. You also get, again, right to left, a selection of, if you will, generic mechwarriors. Whatever you choose here, your opponents, whether it's AI or your in person, your friends' opponents, will have very similar, if not the exact same ones. So you can pick somebody that has a lot of gunnery skills, a lot of piloting skills, a lot of guts, whatever the case might be. There's all sorts of different flavors and varieties and mixtures, and you can drop those pilots in here simply by clicking and dragging them into the mech that you want. If you wish to replace a mech, let's say I don't like this locust, this 20-ton locust, I can scroll up here and I can arrange them: light, medium, heavy, assault, and show stock or show custom. I don't have any custom ones. But here you go. So your assault, if I were to say, I don't want that tiny little one, I want my great big huge, let's go with this. This is when you get in vanilla, an atlas. So you drop that atlas in there, and you'll see here that now we are significantly going over our dollar allotment. That is okay. Above that shows you the mech details that you have. I'll be going over each and every single one of these later on in this video, but for now, just know that it shows your loadout. You see here you have lots of heat sinks, you have medium lasers, you have AC-20s, you have an LRM, and a SRM, short-range missiles, and there's your next one. It shows what you have available there. Your next one shows what you have available there, as well as your stat breakdown. Firepower. This is rough firepower, by the way. It's not 100% accurate. If you hover over top of it, which I'll show you in another video, or later on in this video, you can see the max damage, your stability damage, and all that. It's rated based off how much you can possibly do if you alpha strike and absolutely everything hits. Seldom does that actually happen, but there it is. Your movement, how fast you can move, your sprint, so on and so forth. We'll cover all of this in another video. Suffice it to say, all of your stats show up here, including your structure and your armor. By the way, catapults, awesome. Regardless, here we go. If you've made changes to it, you click save, it will adjust it later on. I'm not going to click save, but you adjust your lance, adjust your pilots, click save, and it'll create a new one for you. When it's done, it will show up here as a custom lance, as well as its dollar value that you have. So you'll notice in our previous one, we went up to like 34 million. That would move us right up into this big, huge guy here. This is one of my favorite, by the way. I love this one. 2 catapults, although archers arguably are better. Catapults and 2 guys that can run around really, really fast. And if you get in close enough, you get to do some pretty serious melee damage with this guy as well. Again, you can delete it, copy it forward and make another version of it, or edit this one. And that is your essentially, that's not your essentially, that is your mech bay for skirmishes. Let's hop into a single player and you can see what that is. In your single player skirmish, you have your player lance, the last one that you used. You see here that I just used kind of a stock one, 14.57 million. If I want, I can go into something that's much, much, much bigger. I can go into something that is a light assault, or I can even switch out how much money I actually want to spend on this. So if I pick war, I've got my 2 catapults, the ones that I last used, my centurion, and my hunchback. Choose your map. You can pick from any of the maps that you've currently unlocked, Alpine River, and if you have any sort of mood that you like, you can switch that up here. Arctic Frozen Day, Arctic Frozen Night, Clear. That it doesn't show up here, but when you log in, or I mean when you launch this battle, it will be blue. It's Hollywood Night, Sunset, Foggy, so on and so forth. For right now, we'll pick Sunset, Foggy, and we'll move on from there. Then you get your opposing side, because we did a essentially single player. It will pick its last one. It doesn't pick very smart sometimes. Like this little Jenner here, I'll chew through that really, really quickly, but it does play up. So you have this Zeus here. I don't have anything nearly that big. It also has this trebuchet here. I've got one over here. I don't have a trebuchet over here, I don't think. No, I don't. I've got those 2 catapults instead. And then it's got some fast ones to go ahead and spot. And then it has the abilities. I'll walk you through those abilities later on in the video. Click play, it will load up all of these options, and you will be playing. For now, let's hop back. The next one is your career. The career is a little bit odd in the way that it is set within the Battletech game universe. Yeah, within the world of this particular game of Battletech. There we go. And your career, you pick up where the campaign ends, but all your crew is 0 level. You and your crew are all just starting out for the first time. You do have an Argo. I will show you what an Argo is in a little bit when we continue on with this video, but you do get the Argo, you get your little dropship, and you get a same starting lance that you have when you start the campaign. That's how it starts. You can do a new campaign, begin from 0. You can load a previously saved campaign. I have several on the go. Or you can continue the previously loaded campaign. So I mentioned I have several on the go. If I get continue here, it will load up my previously played campaign, not my most recent version of it. So if I go back to one that I did, a year ago, play it, when I continue, it'll go back to that one from a year ago that I started up. Pretty straightforward, but there you go. The campaign, you'll notice, exact same things. Exact same things. You can start a new campaign. Starting a new campaign is almost exactly the same as starting a new career. Load will load your previous campaign. Continue, or will load many campaigns that you have. You have 3 or 4 campaigns. You can pick which one you want. And continue will continue with the previously loaded campaign. At the end of the campaign, the game doesn't end. You can just keep going forever working as a mercenary. Kind of like the career. In the career, you're starting off at level 0, but you can just continue your campaign or your career until you've done every single mission, I would imagine, which there's tons of. Tons and tons and tons. I have no idea how long it would take to complete those, but there you go. Because the campaign and the career load up the exact same way, I'm going to work with career and let you discover the campaign on your own, but they do load up identically, so you'll see the exact same buttons. If we go to career and we start a new career, actually before we do that, let's do load and show you what it looks like. There's my 3. You'll see that I have all of them played in the past year, 2025. If you're watching in 2026, in the past year, whatever, you see them in 2025. But you can see them. You see here that I have an Iron Man career, 0 days. It's a brand new one. You can see that I have a Chimera Iron Man career, 24 days. That's how long I've been playing the game. In game years. I obviously haven't been playing for 738 days. But, actually I probably have been, now that I think of it. But this is a game years. And you can also say that I have Mando, Chimera, Maul. Get kind of the idea. A little bit of a Star Wars fan, except for Chimera. And it is pronounced Chimera. I'll talk about that in a new video. When you last played that one, and how far you are in the game. And of course you can delete them if you want. Iron Man is the way that the game is set up. It means that it will not save. You do not have save points. It will save for you automatically, or when you leave the game, you can force it to save, but you cannot save. Do a thing, fail a mission, go back and reload that mission and try again. The mistakes you make are mistakes you make, and that's just what you have to live with. If you end up with a ton of different careers, you can search for them. You can see here that I don't. Warn before deleting, you can turn that off if you like, or leave it on. I don't even know why that's an option. Leave it on. And of course you can delete them if you want. If you have tons of them active and you click on one, it'll show it down here in case the name gets too big for that little slot. And then load game makes perfect sense. New career offers you some other options, just like when you start a new campaign. Obviously, you're not going to see this when you start a campaign, and it is recommended that you play the campaign first. Number one, it picks up where it leaves off. So you end up with a special faction that's very small and growing. That's a faction that you're working with in the campaign. Again, I'm not going to show that to you. Just know that play the campaign first before you do this. You will be pleasantly surprised. Then you have some settings that you can only do at the start of the game. Your default settings are the ones that I would recommend doing just in general, but here's what they all do, top to bottom. First of all, these ones here will not be able to be adjusted once you're in the game, just like it warns you here. So unequipped mechs, that means that it tells you right when you hover over top of it, but there you go. When this is enabled, new mechs you acquire through salvage will not become equipped with weapons or components. You need to customize them from scratch. In other words, if you acquire a mech, they get the mech and that's it. Now, there is a little switch to this, and that is that if you have the heavy metal DLC, some special equipment comes available to you, and it's custom to certain mech chassis. If you recover one of those mechs that has that special equipment as part of its chassis, you get it. There's not a lot of them that have it, but they do. Archers, for example, have a special targeting system for missiles. You get that. You can't remove it in the mech builder. We'll talk about that later. Iron Man mode, you set this and you get it. Set and forget. Iron Man means you get one save file, and that's it. Running out of funds ends the game. Losing all your mechwarriors ends the game. You're done. You can turn that off. If you turn it off, you don't get any of the extra benefits or what is the rewards and titles and all that sort of jazz. You just don't get that. Also, you'll notice down here, since we're clicking on it, that your difficulty multiplier decreases. That means that you take a small penalty. With that involved, you have to keep 20% of your total points. Oh, look at that. You only get to keep 40% of your potential points. The more of these you click on or off, the more this goes up or down. Reduce damage Argo upgrades. Not reduce damage, sorry. Reduce Argo upgrade costs. That's upgrades to your Argo giant huge ship, which has your mech bays and all that sort of jazz in it. Reduce the cost of those. Pardon me, you reduce the cost of those, and you can upgrade your Argo much faster. Thus, you don't get the same benefits. Parts for mech assembly, you need 3. You can make this much, much, much higher. What does that mean? You'll see it when we do a little bit of a playthrough, or if you watch one of my other videos. When you destroy a mech, and you complete a mission, you get to salvage pieces of that mech. If you salvage 3 pieces of that mech, you get that mech. You need to collect 3 parts in order to get the whole mech. You can make this much, much harder. You can say, I need 8 of them. And now you're going way up. Now it's like 1 to 1. I will say though that doing it that way, very hard. 3 is pretty decent. Randomized starting mechs, you can either turn that on or off. It makes no difference to your abilities. I turn it on just because it's fun to see what you get. But that's them. When those are done, your mission's set and ready to go. Then you have things that you can adjust in game. Your enemy strength force, normal. You can make it hard. If you want, I don't recommend it, it's already pretty hard. Once you get good at the game, you can switch it up to hard. Mech destruction. If you turn that on and your mech gets destroyed, you don't get it back. If your mech gets cored, the mech is gone. The head gets destroyed, the mech is gone. It's kind of brutal, so I don't turn that on, but you can if you want to. Salvage normal. Whenever you complete a message, you get a chance to salvage. Normal just keeps everything the way that the system likes it. Generous means you get to take even more stuff, but look at that. And stingy means you don't get nearly as much stuff. Normal is pretty good. Lethality. If you turn that on, it means that your dude, incapacitated mechs, die. If they're incapacitated in combat, they're gone. There's no coming back. They don't always die, but they often do. If you want a quick little boost, get your points up there a little bit higher, you can leave that on. Headshots cause some wound damage to mechwarriors. And when this is on, if that wound damage hits maximum, they die. If it's not on, they have a chance to live. They might die, but they might live. And so you can turn it on or off. It's totally up to you. I usually leave it off. 0.8 is pretty good. Advanced mechwarriors. That's when do they appear in the store? Do they appear often? Are they almost never there? Or do they occur somewhat frequently? Advanced mechwarriors are people that have I believe it's a rank 3 or more. It might be 4 or more in any particular skill. Contract payment normal. Generous means that even easy contracts might pay out 10-20% more. Normal is normal, and stingy means, hey, you're going to have to really fight a lot of battles in order to get some money out of that. Mechwarrior progression, normal. Again, you can go slow, you can go very slow. Normal just means that experience points for your various mechwarriors accumulate at the normal rate. And no rare salvage. Oh my goodness. Definitely, in my opinion, do not engage that button. Rare salvage is in fact one of the only ways to really get stuff, unless you really scrimp and save and travel across the galaxy to find something to buy, like say a Gauss cannon, or something even bigger. Who's to say? I like Gauss cannons, but they're not the be all and end all. But if you turn that on, you don't get rare salvage. It gets really tough to beef up your mechs. And it makes it 10% different on your rating there, so let it go. I would let it go. There you go. Default settings, you can just click to default settings, and then you can start your game. When you start your game, you'll be building up a mech warrior. Let's do it. All right. You get this exact same window when you start a new campaign as you do when you do a new career. So I'm showing you this right now. This gives you your roleplay flavor for the game. In total honesty, there are events that happen in the game where your roleplay helps or hinders, kind of gives you some bonuses and things of that nature, but you're not actually roleplaying, you're just just buffing or debuffing as you go along. And so it's not like your characters are getting married or anything like that. But you do interact with characters, and especially with the Flashpoint DLC, Their choices will affect how the story develops. In the campaign, it really doesn't that much. It does make a difference a little bit, but not a ton. It's not a role-playing game. It's a tactical board game in computer version. And so really it's just buff or debuff that you go along, and it progresses the story forward. You do get to make some choices that affect different factions in the game. So if you do a lot of work with, say, the the Federated Sons, you'll get more favor with Federated Sons, get better deals from them, but it is still a buff or a debuff. Some missions don't become available to you if you're too far aligned with some factions and not with others. They will not become available to you. Minor story things like that are built in. Really, this doesn't make much of a difference at all. You don't encounter this very often, but it's fun to do anyways. So here we go. Your character origins. All you do is fill out the blanks. Decades ago, your family came to the Reach from where? And then you pick whichever thing you have. The Deep Periphery, Steiner, the Taurian Concordat, Rimworld Periphery, the Draconis Combine, all of those different things. It really honestly doesn't matter. You can pick whatever you like. Federated Sons, I pick a lot. Until the day after your 16th birthday when, your family goes bankrupt? Say it isn't so! Oh no, more tragedy! And oh no, we were exiled! And you'll see that as I click through that, these options over here change. It's the same thing up here. Now we have a different one. Your family came to the Oregon Reach. I actually don't know how you pronounce that, now that I think of it. Anyway, there we go. So they do change. Your family came to the Reach from the Draconis Combine. Were you exiled? Did you strike out on your own? You get different things here. And again, they're buffs or debuffs. Piloting and guts for that one. Tactics and guts for that one. Gunnery and guts for that one. Guts is a common theme, by the way. Gunnery and tactics for that one, being exiled. Struck out on your own. Piloting tactics. You just essentially give different variations of this. It's not like building a character in D&D. Out on your own, you fell into the life of a gladiator. What? Freelancer, you get more tactics. Inner Sphere Mercenary, again, more tactics plus a cool logo. Merchant Guard, piloting skills go up. Again, all of this just adds a little bit of flavor, but really is just a buff or debuff. Incidentally, guts are important to keep your character alive. Personally, I don't mind just taking some damage. Your character won't die, and so it just sits in the med bay forever. And so if you put this guy into a mech that you're like maybe even not that attached to, and it dies, oh well, you just spend a few extra months in the in the med bay recovering. You're okay and good to go. So guts is great because maybe you don't get as much damage, or get KO'd entirely. But really, piloting, great skill. Gunnery, great skill. All of those things. Tactics is another good skill to have. But piloting, gunnery, those are my top two favorites. Tactics, again, one of my favorites, but it's underneath gunnery and piloting. But you just pick these, you get these buffs or debuffs. And you can see where you're at. Guts 2, Tactics 4, Piloting 3, Gunnery 2. These are your various names and whatnot. You're going to be able to change those in just a minute. And of course your pronouns. Here we go. So this is where you can just define your look. I don't like the she. I don't like the they. I'll take the he. That guy is older than me, it looks like. But he looks pretty cool. We'll pick him. And you can get your different names. Your call sign, Jive. Cool, that's kind of, you can randomize it. Scorpion. I like Scorpion. That's cool. Or you can give it your own name. That's what I do a lot. And then here's a little game tip for you. Whatever you give your name, please remember it, because I gave myself a cool call sign and just let my names be the names. Didn't really pay much attention to it the first time I played through the campaign. And they use your call sign and your name interchangeably. And sometimes I was like, who's this Hinata person that they keep talking about? I don't know who that is. And then I realized, oh, that's me. So there you go. Remember your name if you are playing this game because you actually just want to start to roll, virtual dice. You don't actually roll virtual dice, but if you just want to get into the combat, sometimes you forget what you did. Don't forget your name. There it is. Let's do a random. Dusty Nemec Romero Yates. Dusty Yates! Let's do that. Scorpion Dusty Yates. And then you can customize your profile. What does your custom profile look like? Well, you can change your hair roots. Gross. Gross. Yes. Your tips. Look, the guy doesn't have much for when it comes to tips, but there you go. Let's give him some gray tips. And then you can pick your eye color. Brown, gray, pink. Let's go green. Hey, there's a cool looking dude. Change your skin tone and color. There's lots that you can choose from. Pick your ethnicity however you like. Let's go with, well, that guy's pale. Ew, he looks like he has gangrene. Nope. Let's go with, yeah, I kind of like that. That's nice. Yeah, let's go there. Why not? And of course you can change your lip color to green. Why not? Because it looks stupid. That's why. No, no, and no. Let's find something a little more traditional, shall we? Ew. No. Anyway, play with this. Find the thing you like. Why did my lips not do the thing? Uh-oh. Maybe I cycled through it too fast. There we go. Makeup, of course, you can change your makeup. Also, you can swap your clothing out. Maybe you don't like that clothing. Maybe you like that one. You can swap this clothing out. I kind of like that. That's interesting. Lighting, where's an angle of light coming from? Let's do that. And then, what angle are we looking at here? There we go. Let's look right into the camera. And then you save it, and then you move on from there. We'll save it. There's your name. You save it, and now you're going to play the game. That's what's going to happen right after this. So here we go. When you start a new campaign, you don't see this. Nor do you get this. This is a bit of a spoiler for you. You actually fight for this in the campaign. It's early in the campaign, so I don't feel too bad spoiling it for you. But you don't start with this giant huge ship called the Argo. You just start with this itty bitty thing right here. And then eventually you get this. Again, it comes pretty early in the game, so I don't feel too bad spoiling it for you. I'm going to try and keep the rest of the spoilers down. But to be honest with you, they might pop up. Again, looking at it from, so this is the first thing you see. We'll start there. And then again, looking at it from top left to top right, your logo, the name of your particular group. Again, you don't see this in the campaign, you do see it in the career. So in your career, this is the way that you kind of gamify the thing so that you have an objective to play to. At the end of 1200 days, you score. And then the amount of score you have, hey, look at your reward that you got. Then you can go back and try and do better next time, blah, 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 whatever you want. But after those days are up, the game continues. You can stop it at that point, but the game continues on indefinitely if you like. Looking at the right side of the screen, your funds. Crucial to keep this as high as possible. $1 million is what you start with. And then this little thing here pops up all of your options. Remember those settings? We can change some of them, but not all of them. Now we're getting into the actual things like controls. How far do you have to push the thing? Switch your key bindings. Set your resolution and all that sort of jazz. As well, you can adjust your difficulty. So this is the screen that we just looked at. You know what all of those mean. You can hop over to multiplayer if you want from here, adjust your audio, video. I'm not going to go through all of these because they're part of virtually every single game on planet Earth. We just won't worry about that. Same thing here. What I will take some time to talk about is this here. So the gameplay stuff, this is how the game reacts when certain things happen in a particular session. Speed up the timeline, single player. This reduces the amount of real-world time it takes for a day to pass in Battletech. So the game is played by days. If you turn this on, it will go much, much faster. Speed up combat. I turn that on almost all the time. If you want, you can turn it off and you can watch all the animations, and they're pretty fun for the first, 6 hours, 7 hours, maybe even 10 hours. And then after that, you kind of just want to get it done because you already know what they're going to do. And so you come in here and turn it on. Zoom to new contacts. If a new contact enters the battlefield, the camera will zoom to it. You can see where it came from and what it is. Sometimes that's helpful, sometimes it isn't. I will show you a little button you can click in order to say, hey, what up, dude? I know where you are, without actually having this on. Auto center on selections. If you click a mech on the battlefield, it will center it on there. Show UI during attacks. This is kind of handy because you can see where different things are hitting. There you go. You can also take alternate indirect color fire. This is flavor to help you see the game a little bit more. Same thing here, line of sight colors. You can put those on and it just kind of helps you see where things are or know what's coming in and out. Let's keep going down this left-hand side. Use dynamic attack cameras. This just makes the camera do certain things, like come over your shoulder when you fire a particular weapon, track the missiles as it goes over various landscape features, and so on and so forth. You can do it all the time. You can fly or cut, and you can reduce its frequency. Again, we'll leave this on for now so you can see it, but after the first couple of hours you get kind of bored with it, and I turn it off. You can also press spacebar and skip it. Pro tip. Enemy cinematics. Whenever something happens with an enemy, you can have it do always or never. Same thing here, always or never. Same thing here, jump cinematics. So if your enemy jumps, it will show you the cinematic move. If the enemy attacks you with its legs or fists or whatever, it will show you that in a fun, cool way. And same thing with just whatever the enemy does. Hey, are we going to do this thing? Let's show it to you in glorious cinematic effect. You can play with it however you like. And then targeting shoulder camera. This is kind of a nice feature as a quality of life enhancement, because when you have that on and you go to shoot at a mech, it brings it down to kind of the shoulder level of the mech, and so you can kind of get a view of what your pilot would see. And if you have that available to you, you can tell if maybe this modifier is justified or not. Sometimes a modifier doesn't seem to be justified when you go into the shoulder camera view, and sometimes it does. And so you can use that to be, when we get into the combat, maybe in a later video, it can be helpful to have that on. It's up to you. I usually turn it off, to be honest. And same thing here. This just tracks you when you move. I already know where I'm moving to, so don't show it to me. Once you've made those changes, you save them, and you can get right back into your game. Of course, this is a click-through, so main menu and a quick to desktop. Self-explanatory. The timeline. This timeline here shows you all the things that are going to happen or that will happen as time progresses in the game. Right now, there's only one important one, and that's a financial report in 30 days. Every 30 days, your budget executes. You can manage these tasks. As tasks come in, you can move them up and down in priority, or leave them alone. I think it does a pretty good job at it as its own. Down here, you can minimize that or maximize it however you like. Maybe it's in your way. I never turn it off. But this tells you where you are, what faction you're with, and what their relationship is to you. Right now, they're indifferent. In this system, the max difficulty for a contract is 3 skulls. You suffer a 10% store markup. If you remember at the beginning when you chose your faction, sometimes you get a discount if you're in a system that you are a part of. Also, if you become an ally with a particular faction, you get discounts in the store. If you become an enemy, sometimes you can go there, but they will gouge you significantly when you have to buy stuff from the store. But there it is, that's what it shows out for you. I'll go through those later on. Hiring hall, this is where you can hire new mech warriors and buy new equipment in the store. This shows you your progress through travel, through interstellar travel. So right now you're in orbit around Claybrook. If you move, it'll say, hi, I'm in transit. And if you approach a jump ship, it'll say you're in a jump ship. And you have to wait for some unknown reason until something happens, and then your ship will jump, maybe jump 2 or 3 times. Whatever, it just shows you where you are. It's a nice little feature. You can watch it happen on the screen. In fact, you can't skip it, so it's pretty obvious what's happening. In the middle, timeline is paused. You can advance your timeline, and it shows you where you are in game days and weeks. If I hit go, it will advance. This will only happen, of course, if you have the heavy metal campaign. We're not going to do this. I will walk you through what happens on this. So this is where the role-playing stuff happens. It'll be pop-ups like this. In this case, it says new mechs and weapons available. Then it has a picture of whatever is happening there. Maybe a couple of mech warriors are getting in a fight, and you'll see a fight. And then it says who's talking to you. Hey, the talk on the MercNet is that some hot new mechs and weapon systems, quote, fell off a cargo ship and are available to folks with the right connections. Well, I've got a connection, so give the word. And a free crate of random new goodies will magically appear in the cargo hold. Of course you're going to take it, but this here is your description of what's happening. You won't see this unless you have the heavy metal thing. We take the crate. Every now and then in the game, you will get some sort of bonus reward, even in the base level, especially in the campaign. You will get bonus rewards. Depending what DLCs you have, you might get something different. Remember when we turned on rare finds? Here it is. Rare mech. You get an assassin right off the bat, and the assassin's pretty decent. So I'm really happy about that. And you get new weapons. These you will not get if you don't have the heavy metal expansion, but you might get something else. In this case, I get an ultra AC cannon. Essentially, they're shotguns. There it is. And then we continue and we accept the thing. When you get a new mech, that pops up. You just click continue. He tells you you got a new mech. It needs to be equipped. So we've advanced our time. We're 2 days into week 1 of 7, and you'll see that our days changed up there. Let's move to the left. This represents how many days left you have and months left in your funds. So in this case, we have 4 months worth of operating expenses available to us. We spend $212,200 per month, and our next report is due in 29 days. Morale, steady. This applies to all of your mech warriors, and if they have high morale, they'll do better. If they have low morale, they do worse. The max here is 50, and it is growing but steady. This tells you how many mechs you have. You have 6 available to you, or how many, not mechs you have, I'm so sorry, not mechs. This tells you how many, essentially, mechanics you have available to you, and how many doctors you have available to you. The higher the score, the faster your mechs are repaired. The higher this score, the faster your mech warriors are repaired. This is a display of your Argo. Where are you on your current map? Hey, it shows you. It's kind of a nice little flavor. I'm outside my, Argo looking in. Outside looking at. Outside looking at. And then you have the stuff that you're going to play around with a ton. Argo, that's our ship right now. You'll see a hiring hall and a store. We have those down here as well. The command center, this is where you'll find contacts. or contracts I should say, and then Darius, he's your guy that takes care of your mech bay. He's one of the NPCs that's fixed with you. Barracks, this is where your mech warriors live, and that's where you manage them. You can view your mech warriors, or, you know, when they die, you can go take a look at the memorial wall and weep, if you're that type of person. Mech bay. Bays and Yang, exact same things as Contracts and Darius, except for Yang is our dude that runs the mech center. And the bays are where your mechs live, literally where they're stored. Engineering, ship upgrades, and Farah. Farah runs ship upgrades, also an NPC, always with you all the time. And then your ship upgrades, that's your Argo. You see here it's all, you know, in a state of disrepair. As you make upgrades, those fill in, and then eventually you get an Argo that looks like it's brand new, even polished and shiny. And then navigation, star map is run by Samir, I should say. And then Samir is the one that runs the navigation, again, NPC with you all the time. They never leave. Yang doesn't go away, Farah doesn't go away, and she doesn't go away either. They're there all the time. And they give you little tips. They're like your in-game tutorial, if you will. And then the captain's quarters. This is where you can control your budget with finances, observe your reputation with the various factions, and customize your company. You can paint your mechs, choose a different logo, whatever you want to do. Customize your company. I think you can even change a name. If you don't like Scorpion's Marauders, you can change the name to something else. That's what happens with all of these buttons here. Let's take a look at the hiring hall. In the hiring hall, you can see that we have 4 of 8 berths. That means that we can have up to 8 mech warriors. We currently have 4. These are where all of the available mech warriors are that you can recruit. The ones that are grayed out, you don't get access to for various reasons. In this case, your rating with the mercenary board is too low, so they won't join you because they don't know who you are. Same thing here. Let's move off of that. Yep, mercenary board review is too low. As you take contracts, your reputation will go up. If you run away a lot, or you don't complete missions, or whatever the case may be, it will go down. And then you don't get access to even more things, including mech warriors. For now, we've got access to these really basic little mech warriors. On a side note, 4 is not enough. These guys die quick, especially in the beginning of the game. Don't get too attached to your characters. I'll recruit a couple of these guys. If you want one, you're going to make a choice as to which one you like. Having only 1 point between them really doesn't matter. You can practically pick whichever one you want. But you'll see here, this guy has a 4-pointer. Sometimes you'll see some that have a little icon in the corner. They represent different things. This Battletech game was built off of a Kickstarter campaign. You'll see a little flag that says KS. That means that that particular person donated enough money to have a custom character made in their honor. So we don't have any of those here. But we do have this guy, and he's got a lot of guts. She, looks like. And you've got these little things that help you out. Tinker, these can actually come into play a little bit. Not very often, to be honest. You don't have to look at these at all, but this will be helpful. You're also going to be paying them $21,000 a month. I know. I wish. Here we go. Let's hire. Yes, indeed. Now you see they're gone from that pool. As my career rating goes higher, I'll get access to those people as well. When I recruit them, they're gone. And you'll see here that now I have 5 out of 8 berths. Should I hire another one? I don't think so. We'll do right now. We'll just let that one go. That's the hiring hall. The store. What's available to you in the store depends which system you go to and what planet, or I'm sorry, which faction you go to and which system you go to in that particular faction's region of space. Everything that's available to you in the store can be sorted out here, all just weapons. Come on, there we go. Ammunition for those weapons. equipment. Sometimes this could, sometimes this can get really big. And mechs. What do they have available? Do you remember when I talked to you about how many components do you need in order to complete a mech? You need 3. If you see here this archer, which I love the archers, I don't have any. If I pick one up, I get 1. And you'll see here that it has 0 of 3 parts. If we would have set it to 8, it would have said 0 of 8 parts. In other words, you have to buy like 8 of these guys or salvage 8 of those guys in order to complete a mech and gain that mech as your own. In this case, I would have 1 archer but take almost all my money. Not smart. Same thing here. You get only 1 piece. 1 piece. There's 2 components, and sometimes they're full and complete mechs. There's one that's a full-on battle mech. Actually, that's a full-on battle mech. This archer? Oh no, it's not. It's the one. It's a component. Partial mech salvage. There you go. And it also tells you its particular loadout. So I have 0 of 3. What it is, it's an archer. It's variant. And the various hard points. In a future video, we'll walk through how to use those. In this video, I'll show you what they mean, but later on. And then this is your jump jets. Hey, do you have jump jets? How far can you jump? That's what that is. And then, of course, if you like it, you can buy it. You can also sell stuff. All the stuff that's available to you in storage, you can sell. So you see our brand new UACs. We can sell those if I want to. I don't want to, but I could. Let's hop back over here really quick. Let's sort through weapons. We can then sort them further into ballistic weapons, energy weapons, missile weapons, and then specials, short-range weapons like machine guns, which are useless, but you can get them. Missiles, short or long range, energy weapons, anything there will be there. And the pulse lasers, yeah, there's no mods in that. I think you can get that with that. And then your ballistic weapons, ammunition, same thing. What have we got for ballistic weapons? Lots of stuff. Ooh, we can get Gauss ammo here. For when those Gauss cannons come in, we're just going to buy it right now. That's what we're going to do. You saw me do it. And then long-range missiles and short-range missile ammo. And then do we need ammo for anything else? Yes, of course. Machine gun ammo. Otherwise, we don't get access to anything else. Oh no, that's true. Here we go. Let's take a look at equipment. Here we go. Heat sinks and jump jets. Here's your jump jets. AH and S. So this is assault, heavy, and small. And then heat sinks. They're generic. You can shove them in anything you like. And then these are various upgrades. There aren't any available there, but if we had them, you'd be able to see them there. Otherwise, there we all are. Let's hop back to our Argo. Let's look at our command center. This is where most of your business is going to happen. This is where we're going to take contracts, make some money, and launch missions. You'll see here, oh, look, we're in this part of the Argo. There we go. And you can see all the different contracts that are available to you in this mission right now. Some of these will become unavailable to you. Some of them you won't want to take because they're too difficult. Regardless, this will all look the same. So here we have our first available contract. This icon shows you who it's for. It shows you, when you hover over top of it, who their enemies are. It gives you the name of the contract, name of the essential fight, whatever it is you're going to be doing. The max pay is, what the max salvage is, and then its difficulty. The difficulty is sometimes, okay, often inaccurate. This is a half a skull. You will crush it. It's not going to be that difficult. Same thing with 1 skull, but when you start to get in 1.5 or 2s, you may end up in an equivalent of a 3, or even a 4 sometimes. Just be prepared for something to be much, much, much harder than it should be given its value rating. Regardless, here we go. If we click on the contract, it will switch up over here and you get a bigger description. Let's look at supply lines. Supply lines is a battle, same icon used all the time. This is its topography, biome if you will, Badlands, and its difficulty, half a skull. Then you get its max pay, max salvage, and max reputation. So your reputation can increase by 3 with this faction. And then it tells you, with some flavor text, what you're going to be doing. I don't believe in that mission of mercy stuff for a second. It doesn't matter, it's a battle. Essentially, you're just going to destroy everything that's on the screen. Then you're going to negotiate, depending on what that is, for your... Oh, there's one that's different. Ambush a convoy. You're still going to shoot everything that's on the screen, but there you go. Let's negotiate it. So we picked our contract, you click negotiate, and then you can decide how you want to be paid. Lots of money, virtually nothing, or lots and lots of salvage. And you'll notice that this down here, your reputation will change. If you go with zeros of everything, you get max reputation, you go up by 3. You can't do all of both. You can do none of either, but you can't do all of both. Split it straight down the middle. This is how much cash you'll get. And this is your salvage. You'll be able to pick one piece of salvage, and then 6 others will be assigned to you randomly by the computer. You don't have a choice over it. This one you do, that one you don't. Sometimes the computer is very fair, and sometimes it is not. You just kind of go, oh, please give me this, and then if it gives you it, you cheer, and if you don't, then you weep silently and move on. Either way, here's your employer, there's your target. Just like your reputation goes up with your employer, it goes down with your target. In this case, it's a Capellan confederation, and my reputation with them will go down 2. This is not the same thing as your mercenary board. That's different. Once you've decided what you want, let's say this. Incidentally, especially in the beginning of the game, salvage, everything is so important. You have virtually nothing of everything. But any damage you take, it's going to cost you. And so I tend to go more with money, especially on something I'm pretty confident I'm going to win, and just let them assign salvage. In this case, they're only going to give me 3 things, but you know what? That's okay. This extra money is going to be needed to repair my mechs. I might end up with only, $80,000 after repairs are done. But it is entirely up to you. For this case, let's just do that. And let's move on. You've seen this screen, it's very similar before. It's like the mech bay that you get when you're doing a skirmish, similar here. You simply click and drag whatever mechs you want and assign a pilot, and all of this stuff will build up for you. Just to fill in the details, you click and drag these things around to whatever you want, and then you pick your guy. Here's Scorpion, that's me. I will typically put him in the beefier one, but because he doesn't die, you might want to put him somewhere else, just for tactical reasons, but I typically will put him in the bigger guy. Then once you've done that, you can track and see, oh look, I'm over them by a whole skull. This should be an easy win. Once you've done that, you deploy, and it will drop you onto the battlefield. For now, let's just hop back over here. If you come over here and chat with Darius, we have our contracts. Let's go back to contracts. If we go to Darius, we click on Darius, now we get to talk to him, and you can carry out some role-playing stuff, but really this just says, hey, how does this happen? And then you get all these tips. You can run the tutorials, and then that's enough instruction for now. Thank you so much. Gotta run.
You know where to find me.
That's Darius. In your barracks, you can see your mech warrior rosters. Here's all our mech warriors, 5 of 8 births, and it also displays their various skills. Each time you complete a mission, you'll gain experience points, and you can build additions onto your Argo, and they will train up automatically, very, very, very slowly, but they'll train up automatically while you do nothing, except let the game run. Gunnery skills. How accurate you are at the gun, go figure. Piloting. Again, how You know, this isn't rocket science, really. Are you going to fall down when you step into something? This is where it gets really interesting. Are you going to get knocked down when you get hit with a whole bunch of missiles and ballistic weapons? Ace Pilot. You can fire then move. That's a nice little feature. Guts, that's how tough you are. You also get some other bonuses that will come up. Bulwark is a good one. And then cooling, vent, it's great. You put them in a mech that overheats a lot, but you use a turn in order to vent. And then tactics. Tactics is one of my favorites because not only do you gain initiative, you also get more stability. In addition to that, you can also get better at dealing damage, and particularly with aimed shots. You simply click on these as you get the experience points and spend them as you like. You can also customize these bad boys. Maybe you want to change what this person looks like. Maybe you want to change their voice. All the same stuff that's there, and when you create your character is here, just in a different spot. And hey, maybe you took a headshot. Now we need to get a scar. Tiny little scar. Look at that little tiny thing. Aww. Ooh, that one's bad. That one took out a windshield. Anyway, once you've done that, you can save it, and then you will have, yes, discard changes. So sorry, you have that there. You have to find out how much you pay that person, their actual first and last name, and then the max injuries. That's where guts come from. So if you have max guts, your max injuries can grow up to, I think it's 6, but either way, for now you can take 3 injuries. Injuries happen when you get a headshot, when ammo explodes in your mech, or there's another instance too that causes it. I just can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But if you get 3 injuries, there's a chance that they die. They might live, but they might die. Either way, they're becoming incapacitated on the battlefield and they're done for. You cannot use them again. If you win or abandon the mission, you get to keep that mech and that person. It's not like a role-playing game where you might lose that person forever. You keep them unless they die. Their service record, that tells you how many times you've used them, how many mechs they've killed, other kills, so things like vehicles, how many times they've been injured, how injury prone are these dudes. Ejections, maybe you don't want them to die, but their mech is almost gonzo alonzo, so you eject, you save the pilot, but the mech's head gets removed. And then how long they've been with you. Their attributes, this will determine certain things like what sort of random events pop up and who does them. And then flavor text doesn't really come into play at all, but you get flavor text. Sometimes this comes into play with some of those pop-ups that happen with events, but not all the time. That's barracks. Mech bays. Let's live here for a little bit. You can talk to Yang, same thing as you do when you talk to, what's his head over there, Darius? If we go into the bays, we see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bays, or 6 mechs in each bay. We only have 1 bay available to us. More will open up as we upgrade our Argo. If we don't have enough bays, we have to store the mechs. I'll show you that in a little bit. Actually, there you go, store the mechs. We don't have anything there. But if we did, they would show up here, and you can organize them by these different categories. Same thing with components. You can see the different components that you have in storage. This is handy to know before you start to tear apart a mech. If you want to use an AC2 or an Ultra AC, I should say, an Ultra AC2 or an Ultra AC10, do you have those available? If so, hey, great, let's put those on there. But do I have ammo for those? I don't. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. There's my Gauss ammo. Can't wait to put that into something. Don't have a lot of equipment. In fact, we have none. But if we have our equipment, it would show up there. And when we click on it, it shows you what that thing actually does. Weight. How much does it, how heavy is this piece of equipment? How many slots does it take up? We'll look at that in a minute. What the gun is, it's damage, 25 times 2. Stability, that means that when it hits something, it knocks them off balance a little bit. And then how much heat does it generate? All those stats are used. Hovering over anything, you see the pop-up, and it gives you a little bit more detail, especially when it comes to things like range, extreme range. There's a penalty if you're within 120 meters. There's a penalty if you're outside the optimal range, and if you're inside that optimal range between 120 and 720, no penalties. You also don't get any bonuses, but that's okay. And then it gives you a little bit of description of what that is and how many you have. Also displayed down here for you in big bold letters. Let's head back to base and let's take a look at a mech. So we've seen this before. Our weapon, our loadout, what we have available for us, and our systems, our armor, and a breakdown of what that looks like with these particular weapons loaded onto this thing. Now this is pretty decent. This blackjack is pretty decent. And then the pattern. You can change what it actually looks like. So if you see there, I switched to pattern 6, and now it looks like this. If I switch to pattern 1, it looks like that. If I switch to pattern 2, it looks like that, so on and so forth. And like I say in Captain's Quarters, you can change the actual colors that are on it. Next to that, we have trash. Get rid of this, scrap it entirely. We don't use it anymore. Or send it to storage. If you send it to storage, all the equipment that's attached to it gets removed, and then the chassis gets stored in storage. Let's take a look at Refit. This is where it gets fun. So in our Refit, this is where we design our mechs. What do we want them to look like? Again, top to bottom, left to right. Our tons. This is how heavy it is and how much stuff we can actually put on it. We can put up to 45 tons worth of stuff on here. We have no tonnage remaining. We can put up to 2 ballistics weapons on there, up to 4 energy weapons, 2 missile weapons, and 2 specialty support hardpoints. We can also put up to 4 jump jets on it. And if we hover over this, it'll tell us what the actual stock loadout should be. We're in it right now, but there it is. You also see it down here. If you click on it, it will show you what it should look like and also tell you kind of how it's designed. What is its purpose? It is a stock combat mech. Fire support and skirmisher. That means you can punch with it. Going across here, repair all. If you've taken damage, but it hasn't gone, you haven't lost anything, like say for example an arm, you can click repair and it will repair everything. Any damage done to armor, it doesn't go internal. In other words, the armor starts to go away, this white stuff, but there's no system damage at all. It freely repairs. You don't have to do anything. It repairs, and it repairs for free. Strip equip, that means it takes everything that's equipped on it and removes it. Strip armor, everything goes away and you can reassign armor. And then max armor, it will give you absolutely everything. Of course, you can't do that because every time you add something or remove something, your weight changes. What happens if you go too heavy? You get a warning and you can't do it. Now we'll take a look at the mech itself. The mech itself has various components: arm, torso, head, center torso, and legs, left and right appropriately. So on our right arm, with everything, but in our right arm in this case, we start with structure, 35 of 35. So I can take 35 points of internal structure damage before that arm is destroyed. When the arm's destroyed, it can be replaced. You don't need to have that more of a mech. You just replace it. It's done. But 35 of 35. How much armor? 60, max 70. You just show me add or remove armor appropriately. In order to completely destroy this arm, you have to get through 60 points of armor and 35 points of system structure. But if it takes it here, you might end up damaging these weapons and losing them. That's later on. Finally, your hard points. You can put one ballistic weapon in this arm and one laser or energy weapon in this arm. You cannot put a missile on it, and you cannot put any specials on it. Same thing for all of these. So if I move across here, you see I can put one energy weapon, but I can also put one special on there. You'll also see another armor point here. Front and rear. Arms is just armor, but your torso has a front and a back to it. So you have armor for your front and armor for your back. Typically you're not going to be shot in the back, and you really don't want to be, because there's not nearly as much armor capabilities in your back than there is in your front. You can see that here. And you'll also see I have 55, 75 appropriately. Then we look at the head. The head is important because that's where your pilot sits. It also usually doesn't have very much armor. When that armor is gone and the structure is gone, your pilot may die. They may not, but they may. Underneath that center torso, you also have front and back to armor to that. And you can have things mounted in the head or in the center torso. In this case, we have ammo stored in the center torso. What I like to do is kind of keep my ammo, especially missiles and stuff like that, closer to my center torso, because if the center torso is gone, your mech is gone, and weapons or ammo, when it takes damage, might explode. So I don't like to put it on an arm. It explodes, the arm goes away. I'll explain damage in a later video, not on a click-through. Again, 70 armor. Same thing with all of these as you go along. These represent different slots. That's what you use to put your stuff. So there we have an AC2 that we just put there, but we can't because an Ultra AC2 because it puts us overweight. And you'll also notice that the thing that I replaced it with went down here. You can use that spot to kind of rearrange weapons. If it's injured or damaged in any way, I should say, it will show up there, and then you can replace it from there. You can also simply just remove it. But in this case, we don't want to do that. Drag and drop, it goes in, and then you'll see these things adjusting. So if I remove that, you'll see that my firepower went down a little bit, and I have 1 ton of extra capacity available. Ammo. You have to have a gun in there. It has to have ammo, unless of course it's energy. Energy just shoots energy. It's unlimited ammo. But your ammo gets stored here, and you're going to need to mount either missile or ballistic weapons or missiles or stuff for machine guns. And then equipment, same thing. Jump jets, heat sinks, etc. You can view your mech. You can even rotate your mech. Click and drag and you can rotate it. You can see it from different views. You can switch your camera angle so that you can see it from different angles. Look at that. Maybe you like this one. Oh boy, it's humongous. Same thing here. Oh, now we're more, torso level. Now we're more head level. Either way, there you go. Kind of fun to play with. Here it tells you how much it's going to cost to make the changes that you made. We did make a change to it, but we're not going to do anything with it. We're just going to discard it. But it'll tell you how much it costs to make that change and how long it will take to make that change. And then you confirm any updates you want, and you're done like dinner. We can reset it to 0. Any change you make you don't like, you can reset it. If you're here and you go, oh man, I'm out of medium lasers, you can check the store. Takes you to the exact same thing we already looked at. You find the thing you want to buy, maybe a medium laser, and you click buy.
New weapon systems.
You can go back here, and then suddenly your medium laser's there, and you can just equip it from there. Really quickly, we'll just take a look at this. Firepower, max damage. Again, that's if absolutely everything hits. All those medium lasers and the AC2 hits, that's the max damage you can possibly do. If everything hits with ballistic missiles or ballistic weapons or missiles, it also does stability damage. Will you fall over? Yes or no? Gonna find out. Movement. This tells you how many meters you're moving. You can walk 120, you can run 200, or you can jump 150. Durability. Hey, how much structure damage do you have? How much armor do you have? Front and back. How are we looking? There we go. So you have 680 potential armor points, 376 potential system points. And then your heat efficiency. This one you'll look at quite a bit. All mechs shut down at 100 heat, but all of the things generate heat of some point, and it limits how many times you can fire those weapons before your mech will shut down. In this case, if we fire absolutely everything we got, we generate 56 heat. Oops. And we're only sinking 33. So if we alpha strike, that means fire every single weapon we got, we're going to end up generating more heat than we dissipate, and that will accumulate turn after turn. Or go down turn after turn. And if you jump, you generate even more heat. So if we were to alpha strike, shoot everything we got, and jump maximum, so is that 64? We generate 64 heat, but only sink 33. So we generate a lot of heat, and they will shut down if we do that. Within 3 turns, we're going to be shutting down. We'll also start to take system damage if we overheat as well before we shut down. So system damage will also happen. And your heat rating just says, hey, you're doing pretty good, 3. You'll see that if we remove this, this just says, oh, you went down from last time. You know, your max firepower on this mech could be this much, but it's not. Put that in there. Oh, now you're back up to normal. And if we were to grab this thing, actually just take this 10, drop it in there because we can see how many more slots it takes. There it takes 3 slots. It's super heavy. We're way overweight, but look at our firepower. Firepower went through the roof. Now we're doing tons of damage. Our heat efficiency went way down because now we're generating even more heat. My word, we can only last 3 rounds before we shut down. But that's how that works there. And let's just do that. Or refresh it if we like. So that's every button here. Let's go back. Engineering and ship upgrades. You can talk to Farah, we get the exact same stuff. Or we go to ship upgrades. In order to accomplish some of these upgrades, and they will grow over time. So right now, you see we only have 2 recreation slots and 1 med bay. If we start to add some of these other things to it, say for example structure, these will expand and we'll be able to do even more. But these are all upgrades that allow us to do various things. Right now we have only 1 med bay, so we don't have a lot of doctors. Our guys get injured, we're in real trouble. Anything that has to do with recreation improves morale. And then of course, mech bays and repairs. The more mech bays we have, the more mechs we can keep before we show them into storage. Although it costs more to keep a thing in keep a mech in a bay than it does to store it, so you might want to store them even still. And then repair and refit. How many more mech tech points we get? The more of those, the faster we repair. And then training modules. Remember when I said you can train your mech warriors up doing absolutely nothing but letting the time run? That's what these are for. And there's up to 3 different ones that you can get for that. Habitat pods, those give you more space on your Argo for more mech warriors. And the drive system reduces the amount of time that it takes to get to different places. It costs money the longer it takes to get to different places, so the more of these you have, the cheaper it is to fly across the universe. To build one of these things, you simply click on it. It will show you a picture of what it is, how much it costs to maintain, how long it will take to build, and then its effects. In this case, +1 morale. It tells you what it is. Oh, it's a shared space for people to go. And maybe you want to build it. Let's build it just for fun. There we go. So now it says upgrade in progress. You can only do 1 upgrade at a time. Once it's done, we'll get the benefits of that upgrade. You'll also notice here that now our finances have turned yellow. That's because we only have 2 months worth of living expenses or of company expenses left If that goes to 0, we're bankrupt and the game ends. Don't worry, we'll gain contracts. Navigation.
Hello, Commander.
Again, you can talk to your NPC, or you can click on the thing and it will take you to the star map. This is the known universe. You can zoom a little bit in and out in order to get closer look at it, and it will show you which faction is in which part of the space. It will show you where you are. Argo, we're right here. And there's another one there, and there's another one over here, and there's another one over here. And so there's our known places in the galaxy. Sometimes you get these ones that are just kind of sitting out there. That's the thing. But regardless, where are we? Well, we are currently in the system that we operate in and started from. So here we go. How many factions are active in this space? Out of all of the factions, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, including pirates. Pirates are enemies of everybody. We'll take a look at that later. And it tells you what type of world it is, whether or not there's any travel possible within the system. So that means we can go from one place to another without jumping. If we want to go from here to here, we have to jump. But there might be travel in here where we can get to. And then attributes. These things will determine kind of what type of weapons you have, how expensive things are, and particularly terrain. What sort of terrain are you going to be fighting in if you take contracts here? Also, challenge ratings. How, if you take all of the different contracts available in this system, what are their average? Half. Now you might be saying, I can only build a 1.5 skull thing. Where else can I go? I'm glad you asked. You can use these filters. This is the one that you'll use the most. You can filter by difficulty, and you can see it goes all the way up to 5. If I go to 5, it would show me all of them there. If I go to 2, now you'll see that I have several here that I can go to that are only 2-point missions, that average 2-point. Again, average, so you might get there, and a lot of them are smaller than that. Not a lot of 1.5 pointers there, but look at all of them down here. So if we're playing this game through, we might be coming down in here and hitting a whole bunch of these little things as we go. Again, traveling takes time, takes money. So be careful how far you travel, especially in the beginning of the game. But you can use those to filter. You can also filter through your biome. Glacier planets, they don't generate a ton of heat, but there they are. You can take a look at that. Jungle, where are my jungle planets? And if you have the DLC, you can hit urban, and then you can get all sorts of fun things. And again, now I have urban 1.5. If I go urban, let's say 2.5, I'll get different choices yet. And then store. What sort of things are you looking for here? Maybe you're looking for Star League equipment. Look at all those places that have Star League equipment. Tons of them. And so that's how you can work those out. If you want to travel to one of these places, you simply click on it. Boop, and it will tell you, hey, our average challenge rating is 2.5. We have battlefields, we have low gravities, we have ruins, we have token population, which means it's hardly anything, largely uninhabited, and how long it will take to get there and how much it will cost. So it's going to cost us $30,000 to travel there. It's not a very far place to go. And if you want to go there, you click travel, and then it'll take you there. Last and not least, our captain's quarters. Our captain's quarters. This is, look at your bunk. That's captain for you. If you come here, you can take a look at your miniatures. Aren't they cute? Look at them all. Get a little painting set. There you go. I need to paint an atlas. And you get to choose your crest. Maybe you don't like the crest that you have. Maybe you like that one. That one's kind of nifty. Or maybe you're a Spider-Man fan like me. There we go. Even better, we can do that one. I don't know. I kind of like that one. Let's do that one. And it will update what our logo looks like. You can rename them. So maybe we're not going to be scorpion anymore. Maybe we're going to be spider. Maybe we're going to be like, I don't know, that's a white spider. Maybe we're going to call ourselves the white spiders. The white spiders. And then we can change our colors of our mechs. Maybe we like red as our primary color and black as our secondary, and then we have accent colors. We can do like 2 tones. Yuck. Maybe we do that. Ew, still no good. Maybe we just keep it like that, call it good. But you can pick whatever you like, there's tons of them. Once you've got your look and everything ready to go, save that bad boy and off you go. You can head over to Reputation. Reputation shows you all the major factions and whether or not they like you. Whenever you do a mission, you'll see that we already looked at this one. We have an indifferent. We can go down to we really do not like you at all to we are completely loathed, 100%. We won't sell anything to you, and oh, by the way, you only get to keep 10% of your pay. All the way up to this. We revere you. You get 15% more on your job payouts. You get a 10% discount. Rockin' and rollin'. And also, you gain access to more difficult missions. Go there, they ain't gonna give you much. You go here, you can do everything. This is the scale between all of these things. As you do them, they'll go up and down. Right now it's neutral. If it goes up, it'll be green. Well, various scales to green. If it goes down, it'll go to various scales of down. When you reach 100, so this is -10. When you get 100, you can ally with that faction. If you ally with that faction, you get all sorts of benefits, including access to like the black market stores. And so then you can get access to even more equipment and better pricing. You name it, it's great. Pirates, everybody hates the pirates, including you. There it is. And we picked Taurian Concordat, so we're not as minus as we are in others. There you go, -5. Good idea to keep an eye on this, but again, maybe not necessarily the most important thing. When you ally with somebody, you can turn that ally off. You can switch your allies, or you can no longer ally with them, but you have to wait a certain amount of time before that happens. And that should be it. Oh no, customize reputation, finances. We forgot finances. How could we forget finances? When you come to finances, you have your breakdown that you receive right here, but then you also get to see exactly how much stuff is costing here. We have some pretty normal operating costs going on. It says normal. That just means that's how much we're paying people, normal. But you see our Argo operating costs. The more we upgrade our Argo, the higher that goes up. Then we have our mechs. I mentioned that if you have them in a mech bay, it costs money, $12,000 a month. If you move them to storage, they don't cost you anything. So you might only want to have, if funds get really low like they are right now, you might only want to have 4 and then put the other 2 in storage. And then your mechwarriors also cost you money. Pearl costs as much as Meteor. These other guys, they're pretty low level, they don't cost as much. And then you add those 2 together and you get your operating costs. At the end of the month, you can decide whether you want to give them more or less. If you increase their pay, the morale goes up. If you give them less, the morale goes down. You can take your own decisions of whether or not you want to pay them more or less. Totally doesn't matter. But you know, so when your morale reaches, is it 40? I think it's 40. Maybe it's 50. 50. When it gets to 50, it doesn't go any higher than that. So you can get them up to 50 and be done with it. And there you go. That is everything that you can do on this non-battle screen. In our next video, we will walk through how to fight, and I'll show you all of the buttons that you press on that one in order to make things happen and destroy stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will catch you again on the flip side.